Hey, hey, what's happening, friends? Another little live with Jim Morris. And I've got something I really want to share with everybody. One of these concepts in my life that has just been so amazing, so fruitful. I've given to these types of things, I've gained to this from this. And it's just been so important, relationships. Relationships are rocket ships. Nick Cavuto said that to me one day, and it changed my entire life. Right? We talk a lot about you're one conversation away from changing the trajectory of your life, but usually in those conversations, you build relationships, and those relationships are truly rocket ships. Talking about Nick Cavuto, that's a pivotal relationship that has changed my perspective. It's changed my insight. It's changed my understanding of marketing and messaging. It's been a resource to vet and question and ask how his experience has been with some people that we're mutually connected with and friends with. Um, it's really been a rocket ship for me. And Nick's going to join us on this series of relationships or rocket ships. And we're going to dive deeper into, some relationships that he's had, our relationship, some relationships that I've had. But I wanted to bring him up because he coined this term. He deserves the credit for the catchy phrase, relationships or rocket ships. And Nick, at Impact Effect 23, Nick will have a piece in our workbook for this, because he really inspired it. So just think about that for me personally, right? Like Nick not only has given me perspective, he's not only giving me insights, he's not only giving me skills, strategies, business related, but he's also helping me become a better person, become a better man, become a better husband, become a better dad, right? Because I look up to these people. I look up to how they treat their family. And it's the only reason why I do that is because the relationship I have with them. I know them. I know it's pure. I know the heart is there. So that's just one example of someone that's been a rocket ship in my life, not only in business, but also in life. Whether that's, core values, understanding alignment, magnetizing with the right people. So that's just one example. I'm going to go through a list of people that I got to give shout outs to that have been instrumental, and the relationship has really been a rocket ship. And I want to give you these examples today because I don't think we talk enough about how pivotal people are in our life, right? I speak on a concept of people are power, and relationships are rocket ships, right? That's the realness behind the people and the power of people. So that's why I want to share examples, because there's so many examples in our lives where relationships have been rocket ships. Amanda Banks just joined us on Instagram. It's funny, Amanda, you were next on my list to talk about. So thank you for supporting me, right? Like this is the definition of relationships or rocket ships. Amanda's here supporting me and listening to this. And that started with the relationship, she's been very pivotal in my mindset. Amanda has been absolutely amazing. She's been a connector. She's been there in times of need. The thing that happened yesterday with the scammer and my wife and saying they're going to take the baby and pay money and all this stuff, like she was there asking me, checking in, things like that, right? So relationships don't transpire just for business reasons. Now, of course, Amanda and I, she's going to speak at an event coming up at the Entrepreneur Center, right? And there is business relationships, but that rocket ship is in both sides, personal life, real life, and business life, right? And she's just been amazing because of her insight, our deep conversations, talking about building relationships, talking about authenticity, talking about putting on events, talking about speakers and challenges and types of speakers and, that network and professional development and using our events as platforms to amplify. Like she's been extremely instrumental and such a rocket ship in my mind on how I think about events and how I progress and what's important to me. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is people really diving down into the core values so you can understand what's important. And you need people and you need relationships to make that happen. I mean, that's just real. Some of our conversations were so deep that these were things that I didn't even go that deep on until she sparked the interest, right? So Look at that rocket ship. That's a massive rocket ship in my business and my personal life. Brock Zevin. Brock Zevin, I met over a year ago at a boot camp, right? At an event, you're one conversation away. And we hit it off. Brock takes action. Brock's a motivator. Brock doesn't have a bad day. Brock can get beat up and lose and just keep moving. He can flip those sevens, those L's. I don't like to say L's. I like to call it flip sevens. But, he can take those L's and get back up. And he shares those stories. He's shared the intricate details of his life and his challenges and drinking and family and divorce, right? Like, that propels me to acquire so much knowledge from someone who's real, true, and vulnerable, that will help rock. My life is a rocket ship because of it, because he shared that vulnerability. He's given me those details, right? And that's how, again, on the life side, the personal side. On the business side, the guy's a freaking master mind when it comes to communication and sales. Like, that's what it is, and cold calling and motivation behind it and how to look at it. And, that's propelled my business so much. I was the guy who never wanted to pick up the phone and do a cold call. I love relationships. I love in person. For some reason, the phone it was that, no, I didn't feel connected. Well, he rearranged my thought process on it and really dove into the core of who I am. He said, Jim, how can you help people if you don't want to pick up the phone? Boom, right there. Change. Trajectory of my life changed, because he's freaking right, guys and girls. Or I shouldn't say guys and girls. I guess people get offended. A friend of mine said, I don't like to be called a girl. I'm a woman. So I'm going to use ladies and gentlemen. Always learning. Always learn. Another relationship that helped me progress in life was a rocket ship, right? Something I didn't even think about. But anyways, so all these relationships in business, in life, they're just so monumental, and they're rocket ships. Like, why go and try to figure this out? Why go and try to be lonely throughout this? Why go and try to do it all on your own and then not ask for help and not build the relationships? You're just fucking stubborn. Sorry to say it so bluntly. It's just stubbornness. And I was stubborn for so long, forever, until recently. I didn't want to ask for help. No one helped me growing up, family, friends. I went through a lot of shit. But the reality of it is we need people. We need help. And relationships are those rocket ships. So Brock Zivan, just amazing perspective, and, really pushed me to help more people and get over that fear, because I didn't feel that interconnectedness. I didn't feel a lot of the synergies on a phone call that I would in person. So another rocket ship, because I can now help more people. I can converse with more people. I can have more in-depth conversations. And through that, he's taught me how to build the relationship over the phone and to clarify and, to ask questions and drum up more interest, because in person, I'm a very energetic person, right? We talked about relationships. I was talking about Amanda Banks earlier. Amanda was like, I could feel your energy when I came over to her at TEDx Old Hickory, So in person, like, I can give the energy, I can give the emotion, I can build that rapport so quick over 4, 5, 6 questions, where maybe on the phone it takes 36, depending on who that person is, depending on how they foresee connection and if they have their guard up and things like that. So from a personal standpoint and from a business standpoint, Brock Steven has been extremely instrumental. Stephen Kibble. Met Stephen, came to one of my events. Again, coming to an event, meeting people. You're one conversation away from changing your life. Stephen was very instrumental. He's very unique and different. He wants to educate families. He wants to educate kids. He's written several books on financial education for children 6 and up. Like, I'm just so excited to meet and interact with someone like that, because he is going to skyrocket our relationship. It's really new, but his perspective on why he's in the financial world and how he wants to help and his dreams and his aspirations are just amazing. Like, we're going to do some stuff together. Like, we're going to help kids together, and I'm going to utilize my event skills and my relationships and his financial background and his books. Like, he doesn't even know this, but I'm putting it in a manifestation. And talking about manifestation, Janine Driver, one of our keynote speakers, expert on body language, worked in the ATF for years and has been on TV. She was just on Mark and Kelly Ripa, and she's on Court TV. But she was talking about manifestation, right? It's a conversation I just had last night that has skyrocketed me into writing new goals and dreams and starting to talk about those. So Stephen Kibble, if you see this, if you're hanging with us, bro, we're going to do some things together. I'm manifesting it. But again, that perspective, that change in thought, right? Like, Jim, you own an event company, and he didn't say this to me, but he skyrocketed the idea based on our relationship. He said he was so ingrained into helping children and writing the books. And I'm like, man, you just sparked a thought and a vision in my head. Like, I need to do events and I need to help children in the future, and how can I do that? How can I educate them? How can he come in and how can we just get some kids in a room, make it fun, and he can just read his book? Like, it can be as simple as that, the impact. But the impact was so massive based on that relationship. It's got me thinking differently. It's got me thinking futuristically. It's got me thinking, deeper, and how can I help more people, and how can I help kids? And it doesn't always need to be adults, right? But that conversation sparked a different change in my mind, a different interest. So I just think it's extremely important, right? And you hear all these examples in my recent life, like I'm talking recent, right? If you heard me talk about Brock, met within the last year, Nick several months ago, Amanda a few months ago, Steven a couple, a month. I'm going to talk about Tyler Erickson. Tyler came to my events, we met, he's coming to Impact Effect 23. And, we're just talking, and I'm like, how can I help? Who can I introduce? Who can I connect? Right. And come to find out, he's built workbooks for conferences similar to this. Do you know how important that is? Do you know how much stress that's taken off of my life? That's through a relationship. He's doing this to help because he believes in Impact Effect 23. He believes in entrepreneurs like you. He believes in helping the cause. So he's helping me build the workbook. We were just on an amazing call this morning. And I'm like, idea. But the relationship we built by him coming to an event and us helping each other and making connections and growing, and I advising, right? Like, he advises me, I advise him. It's a mutual relationship that has skyrocketed, and it's become a rocket ship for my growth and my business and my personal life, because this was a huge stressor. Putting a workbook together is not Jim's thing. Like, I put out a ton of content. The graphics, I don't make any of them. Like, that's not my forte. The vision's my forte, the communication. And I can always improve on that. But like, we need these partners and these people and this help. Talking about content, Eugene and Heather, Brown with Mocha Studios, like, they've been an amazing relationship that has grown and grown and grown. They've become friends. And we were just walking the Cornelia Air Park, the old airport, last night. We've never even been there, right? A relationship introduced me to something cool in Nashville that I've never experienced. And I know everything about Nashville that I thought I did, but I didn't, right? So that's another realization that skyrocketed in my brain as quick as last night, 12 hours ago, and they've been detrimental in business too. Like, yesterday, the issue with my wife, I had to run off of a webinar I was hosting with Craig Siegel, and I was at his studio and he jumped in and helped me, right? We were supposed to shoot videos. We were supposed to eat pizza. I was supposed to hang with his kiddos. They're so cute. They're twins. They made me notes. They wanted to have pizza with me. Like, it was just such an amazing experience yesterday in a time of absolute chaos. My wife was, being scammed by a scammer as the Nashville Police Department. They're trying to get money from her, saying they're going to take the kid. They're going to come arrest her. All this crazy shit. But they were there for me in my personal life. And then we ended up shooting video late last night because they knew how important it was, and the timeline, and how much effort, and what's going on with Impact Effect 23, and my passion. I got to get the videos out. I got to get the information out because I don't want anybody to miss the opportunity. That's important to me. And they jumped in last night and helped me out. and we shot some video, and they'll probably freaking turn the video around in 48 hours. Like they're rock stars, and they're rocket ships for my business and my personal life, because there's a relationship there. There's a friendship there. There's a business and a personal relationship. So Eugene and Heather, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. You're the freaking bomb. A couple more people I want to talk about. Guys, I've got examples for days, because relationships are everything to me. They've pulled me from the darkest days, when I didn't have family to go to, when family, was making some bad decisions and hooked on OxyContin and drugs, and, dealing with their challenges. Like, the relationships I had with friends got me through that. Friends became family. Friends became business partners, right? And sometimes that's not the best thing. And I've experienced that. I've chosen wrong business partners, but we've grown. The relationship was a rocket ship towards our growth, personal and business, right? It's not a negative thing if you go into business with a friend, um, and depart from business with a friend. Like, I've done it several times. People change, circumstances change, visions change, ideas change, quality of work, quantity of work. Quantity of work could be a really big game changer for business partners. But again, those relationships were powerful. So I think it starts with people and those rocket ships. When you're down here, when you're at your lowest low, how do you get up? People help you. A relationship helps you. So, my very personal interconnected team at Impact, Janelle, Nick Grayson, JC, Richmond, Ashley, like, dude, I could never do what we've been building over last year without these people. Like, talk about rocket ship, talk about let's not even talk about the blast off and the progression. Let's just talk about the actual rocket ship. Like, I didn't even have a rocket ship to fucking blast off without them. Like, they are the rocket ship. They are the core to my team. So relationships are rocket ships. The impact team is actually the rocket ship. I wouldn't even have the rocket ship to blast off for the progression if I didn't have the impact team. Not only is the impact team people that help me tremendously in business, but they've helped me tremendously in my personal life. Again, another rocket ship based on a relationship in business and in my personal life, having deep conversation, being open, being vulnerable with these people, sharing the insights, sharing the financial burdens, sharing guys, we owe $60,000. How are we going to pay for this? Right? Like, being able to talk to someone, being able to go deeper in the relationship and build that connection with Janelle, with Ashley, with Nick, with Rich, with JC, like, it's so important, because their insights, their opinions, they're close to it, they're honest, they're open. It's a rocket ship at its core of the actual rocket ship, but the progression and the blast off, like, it's been so detriment, so important to growth, And again, what's that? The 13, 14 relationships I talked about in the last 18 minutes that have been that have been rocket ships to me, and my growth in personal and business, and the list keeps going. But I wanted to talk about this because I feel like we don't give enough attention to how important the relationship is and the reality behind it. Like, yes, we give to our friends, we give to people we love, our business partners, our associates. But when was the last time we actually sat down and was like, wow, what's been given to me? And I think when you sit down, your list is going to go over 10 people, 20 people, 30 people. Like, I'm thinking right now, there's 9, 10 people on this list that I can add another 10 right now. Mark Nailey joined this. Live just now on Instagram. Mark was very pivotal. We sat down, we talked about things. I got on his podcast. What I said on Mark's podcast was right in the middle of a massive transformation for me. It's the first time I publicly have said this. And what I said on Mark's podcast that he was so graciously invited me to was, I feel better speaking on stage, helping people, hearing people's stories, the connection. That makes me feel better than cashing a $50,000 real estate check. Like that moment when I said that out loud, it hit me so much more different. Mark probably doesn't even know this, but just that invite on his podcast, that changed my life because that was the core messaging to my core values, right? That was another reminder to me that, oh my gosh, I'm doing something that I like and I love. Real estate's amazing. I love it. We just helped a client last week close. I mean, freaking war every day. It was awesome. It was amazing feeling. They're going to transform the place. Like it's beautiful. And I love that, but that's not all of Jim Morris. Jim Morris needs to be on stages. Jim Morris needs to be vulnerable. Jim Morris needs to share the L's, the losses. Jim Morris needs to share the wins, what got him there, the knowledge, the fuck ups. Like that's so important to me. And Mark was a rocket ship in my life, my personal life, and understanding the core value of that transition in my business life and why I'm going all in on Impact Effect 23 and why I want to help entrepreneurs. So there's just so many people that I've built relationships with just in the immediate, last year that have been rocket ships to my life progression, my business progression. And I think we just need to reflect on that more. We need to thank people. And I think we're moving so fast. There's so many distractions in this world that we sometimes forget. We forget to dive into the reality. We forget to dive into how people have helped us and reflect on that. It's so important to just identify and to be grateful and to understand all the positive things through people that have happened to you in your personal life and your business life. Just for the people joining that may have missed earlier, I just went through a list of about 10, 12 people that have been rocket ships to my personal life and my business growth. And that's just in the last year of what I've come up with. I've come up with another 10 right now because there's just been so many impactful people. But the whole thing is you got to show up. You got to be present. You got to put yourselves in the room. You got to have the proximity. You've got to weed out the people that aren't amazing, that don't align, that aren't on the same page when it comes to values and characteristics and decisions, right? But once you do that, once you get in those circles, once you build those relationships, it rocket ships your life. It's a rocket ship to your life. And I'm just thankful. I'm feeling grateful today. There's so many more people that have impacted me and changed my life. But really, this exercise was for me just as much as it was for you. Think about the people that have been the rocket ships. Think about the relationships and go call them, thank them. Just say thank you. Hey, you've been a rocket ship to my life. Thanks for our relationship. Boom. It's going to be so impactful to you as well as them. Because when you start going through that in your brain and you start thinking about those people, you start getting a little sentimental. You start getting a little emotional. You're like, wow, I don't know where I would be without that relationship. I don't know where my business would be. Oh my God, like I was struggling and I hit a roadblock and I had one conversation with someone and it opened up the floodgates to solving one problem to the next problem to the next problem. So for me, it's like, how do we put ourselves in those situations, but how do we be vulnerable and reflect? And I think once you reflect and you tell these folks how important they are, how the relationship has been a rocket ship for you, I think that's going to make you feel a lot better too. Because I can tell you right now, it's been 23 minutes on the live, and I feel better just talking about this. I feel better just recognizing people because we know that they're important to us. We know that they benefit us, but we don't actually tie a specific benefit and how they've helped us in our relationship. And the coolest thing about this is I'm talking about all the things I've received, which may come off and sound like I'm asking, but the cool thing is a relationship is a two-way street. We heard it all the time growing up. When someone didn't call you or your friend didn't hang with you, you're like, phone's a two-way line. You can call me, right? Relationships are two-way. So when you reflect and you're grateful and you have gratitude for the relationships and you say thank you to these people, it actually puts in your brain, wow, Maybe I need to do a little bit more for that person. Maybe I haven't been a rocket ship for them. What can I do today? What can I do tomorrow? Who can I connect them with? Maybe I should just call them and ask them what they're struggling with. Maybe I should just see what problems they're looking to solve. Maybe I can solve a problem. But if I can't solve a problem, I know someone that can probably. I know a connection. Shit, maybe they just need to talk today. Maybe they just need to hear, that we support them, that we're just checking in. Maybe someone needs to hear that you're proud of them. You're watching what they're doing online. You're seeing how cool they are as a parent. They're hanging with their daughter, their son. They just went to a Sounds game. They just went to a LA Dodgers game. They went to the Taylor Swift concert. Like, maybe you just need to call a friend and say, hey, you're a good mom. You're a freaking amazing mom. I've been watching you on social media. How you treat those kids, how you create experiences, how you speak to them, how you're educating them, how you're introducing them to different foods, cultures, ideas, festivals, different friends. You're just such a great mom. Maybe that is how you give value today. I know, talking to a lot of people in my businesses, I talk to a lot of people, hundreds of people a week I speak to. And people need this more than ever. So part of this conversation today was to share how all these people and these relationships have been rocket ships to my business, but also my personal life. And through that process, when you start reflecting on all these people that helped you, you start to realize, have I helped them? And what can I do more for them? And how can I give more value? So I would reach out to those people and just say thank you. Tell them they're a good mom. Tell them they're a good dad. Tell them they're a great husband. Tell them that you can see them grinding and hustling. Tell them that, you were talking to their wife and they've been working late and, you respect that. And here's the thing, like, here we go. Relationships are rocket ships, guys. Like, this is, again, another example of this. Like, this is why this is so important to understand and reflect. And I may get a little emotional on this one. This is still a little tough for me. A few years ago, a new friend, knew him for 3 months in Nashville. He came to tons of my events. He supported me. He invited me to VIP parties. He introduced me to people. He was just an amazing dude. And he had a heart attack and he died. But one of the things that he told me, he would call me. And like, bro, we just met each other like 2.5 months ago. Like, but he would call me and be like, dude, I'm just proud of you. I'm proud. Like, what? This dude's saying he's proud of me? This dude's running a music company. He was a rock star. He was a musician. He's super connected. He's everywhere. Dude's everywhere. And he's calling me to say he's proud of me because he's been watching what I've been doing. And like, that's not to brag about me. That's to share this example with you, because the reality of it is he was a rocket ship. That relationship was a rocket ship because he taught me to be proud of people. He taught me to be proud of myself. I don't think anybody told me they were proud of me for the last 15 years prior to that. Maybe my dad before he died. Hey, I'm proud of you, kid. Keep doing you. Different season of my life, didn't mean as much, just kind of brushed it off, right? But at that point in my life, when he said that, and then he passed away, he called me and 2 days later he died. He called me to tell me he was proud of me, and 2 days later he passed. But that wasn't the only time he called me that he said that. He's told me that in person. And the whole point of this is that relationship I had with him before he passed away was such a rocket ship, because I can give to others now, and I'm open to communicate how proud I am of people. And I know how much you need it, because I needed it. I needed it more than ever when he told me that. So that relationship was a rocket ship for me to just reflect more and to communicate better with people and be more honest. I'm proud of so many people. I'm proud of every single person on that list. They're crushing it. They're going after their dreams. They've reinvented themselves. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share with y'all before I get too emotional, talking about my friend Nick, who passed away. But relationships are truly, truly rocket ships, and you've got to focus on it, and you've got to give value, and you've got to tell people you're proud, and you've got to reflect. You've got to reflect on all the amazing stuff that people have poured into you through relationships that have rocketed your business growth and your personal growth. So thanks for joining me today. Can't be on live all day. I actually got to sell some houses and, help some entrepreneurs and get them connected to